Today we want to talk to you about eye contact, because eye contact really is one of those keys in public speaking, regardless of whether you're doing it online or offline, face-to-face, that will revolutionize the engagement and response that you get from your audience. Hi, I'm Fraser from the Public Speaking Institute, and we love working with coaches, and this is one of the simplest ways that you can gain traction in your speaking. Because eye contact, when you're talking to people face-to-face, think about a social situation, is the way you connect with people. Regardless of what else you're doing, if you're looking at the person, you're looking at them in the eye, there is that level of connection that happens. And you need to do that when you're presenting as well. Take, for instance, when you're presenting online, whether it's a webinar or a video. The camera is often placed, like I'm using here, at the top of the screen. So if I'm actually looking at what I'm doing on the screen, you can see how that's actually changed the engagement that you're now getting from me, because I'm looking at what's happening on my screen. I need to remember that your eyes, so to speak, are where the camera is, and so I need to be looking at the camera. And that's really important when you're recording a video, running a webinar, or something else that requires online content. Then you need to make sure that you're looking at the camera for as long as you possibly can. From that point of view, you can look away to do other things, but remember, especially at the start, to be looking at the camera as we take off. Now, when you take this into a face-to-face situation, we get a lot of questions around the fact, how do I, what is a good level of eye contact with an audience? And we come across a couple of different scenarios. The first one that a lot of people tend to do is what we call the lighthouse, which is where they just look to this corner of the audience and they keep talking and they look back to that corner of the audience. I like to call it the laughing clown, because it looks like one of those clowns that you put the ping pong balls in at the shows. And although that gives the semblance of it, your audience, you know as an audience member that is not creating connection with you. So you need to do the same thing. If your audience is small, 20, maybe 50, you can actually create eye contact by talking to the person and looking them in the eye. And the question we get after that is, fine, well, how long? You know what? There's not a set length. When you're talking to someone in conversation, there is a natural moment for you to break eye contact. There is a moment where both of you acknowledge that was good. And that happens when you're talking to an audience as well. So when you're making a point to someone like this, you'll find that the point will finish and you'll move on to the next point. And you'll move to whoever the next person is. I don't use a system, but I do make sure that I am constantly making sure that I'm talking to the people on one side and the other. Try not to, or really avoid making sure that you're not talking to one section of the audience for too long, because it can start to put the audience on the other side off a little bit. So really making sure that you're gaining that eye contact and that you're using it to the best of your ability. This works whether you're doing one-on-one networking type presentations or when you move out into a larger audience. But eye contact is one of those ways that will increase your vulnerability, which increases your believability and increases your saleability. I'm Fraser from the Public Speaking Institute. Jump onto our Facebook group, Public Speaking Tips, for even more public speaking tips.